Welcome back, everybody, live here at Cox Convention Center. 40 minutes in the books in Game 3 of the Western Conference semifinals, and the Stars find themselves on the wrong end of a 2-0 scoreline. But for the moment, I have the pleasure of being joined by the new Dallas Stars general manager, Jim Nill. And Jim, it's been, I imagine, a whirlwind for you through this point, but you have, I believe, now seen 4 Texas Stars playoff games, including tonight. Let's jump right into it. First of all, thanks so much for being here. What's your impression of this Texas Stars group?
Well, thank you for inviting me on the radio here, and I really look forward to the future with Dallas, and the Texas team's a big part of that. That's one of the main reasons I came here. I've seen the operations down there when I was with Grand Rapids, which was Detroit's farm team. I came down there quite a bit and saw that, and to be successful in the NHL, you need to have a good farm system. And the situation in Austin is outstanding. It's a great city. They got a great facility there. The fans are great. And the team down there, the staff, from the management and the ownership, right down to the coaches and the players, it's first class. And they've had a great year. And we're in a battle here in the playoffs against a good Oklahoma City team. And these are the type of situations you want your kids playing in. This is how they gain that experience, because if you're going to make the NHL, if you're going to win the Stanley Cup someday, you're going to go through these type of highs and lows, and this is a great test for the team.
With your incredible experience with Detroit in the organization, with Grand Rapids on the other side of the state, but a very close drive, is that part of the equation that you think is really important, to have your AHL affiliate within a few hours drive to be so close to the NHL club?
It's very important for 2 reasons. The first thing is, if you get injuries, it's nice to know that you can get the player up. If somebody gets sick at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's nice to know that we can get a player up to fill in that spot. And the most important part is, these players need to be seen. They're down here working. They're trying to make an impression on the NHL team, and it's important for the management and the coaching staff of the Dallas Stars to see these players play. We need to make judgments on them. They need to be known that, hey, they're being watched. And when we sit down with them and at the end of the year and say, here's what you need to work on, they need to know that, hey, the general manager or the assistant general manager, they were down here watching us, and what they say is true, and that's important for their growth.
I would imagine that you've been trying to absorb as much as you can from the Dallas Stars organization, top to bottom, since you were announced just a short while ago. Moving forward now, what are the next steps? Obviously, the draft is coming up in early June, but the Texas Stars, of course, are hoping to have a long playoff run as well. But for you, where do you sort of go from here to get Dallas going, and also the farm system as well?
Well, we just had our, last week we were in Austin, actually had our amateur meetings there, so we're getting prepared for the draft. We're working on that right now. We got to start preparing. I got pro meetings coming up here in about 10 days. We'll get the pro scouts in, and we got to get ready for free agency. We got to make decisions, down in Texas here, who do we resign, and plus in Dallas. I have to get our management team polished off yet. We've made a few changes internally, and I want to kind of make some adjustments on the office staff. So there's lots of work going on.
I know that you haven't had too much time to see these players, but just to start with the defensive core, a few additions at the NHL trade deadline, some prospects that have been building their way through the system this year. Do you feel as though the Dallas organization has a real depth organizationally at the blue line position right now?
Yes, I do. That's what I'm excited about. When you see some of these young players, you've seen Alexiak, who's 6'6" or 6'7", with that long reach out there. Those are the type of players. Connaughton, the Gonches, the Morals. That's how you build your foundation. And what I like is they're all coming up. They're the same age. The Jordy Ben, same thing. They're all within 4 or 5 years of age of each other, and that's how you build successful franchises. When you get a big push from the minor league system of players coming up at the same time and having success. That's what's going to help build us up top.
From the forward standpoint, you saw some major additions to the Dallas Stars lineup after the lockout ended. Guys like Cody Eakin and Antoine Roussel making some pretty impressive impacts with Dallas. Same with Grand Rapids, with some guys that started there and then quickly went to Detroit. The one that I find kind of the most humorous is Brandon Smith, whose brother Riley has played for both Texas and Dallas this year, and Brandon has played against his brother for the first time professionally in both AHL and NHL games. That had been a lot of fun for both brothers and for the family in general.
No, it is. It's kind of exciting. You know, it says a lot about the family. I know the family well just because of, you know, through Brendan, and I've seen Riley play lots too in college hockey and that. And pretty proud mom and dads. I know when they come and watch their sons play in that, and they're very competitive. So I know that there's a lot of bickering going on in the ice between the two. I know their personalities well, so it's exciting for them. And you don't see that happen very often in today's game.
There was a comment, I can't remember the media outlet that made the mention of it, but there was a game between Dallas and Detroit late in the season where somebody pointed out that every player that was in the active lineup that night had either been drafted by Detroit or signed as an undrafted free agent. I think there were a couple that didn't fit that category that weren't in the lineup. Is that sort of a snapshot of the kind of philosophy that the Red Wings have had for a long time?
Yeah, you know, it doesn't mean, for a while in Detroit, everybody talked about, well, we were a high payroll team in that, but we still had the core of the team was still players that were drafted and developed, and it's even more important in today's CBA. You know, we have free agency approaching here on July 1st. There's not a lot of free agents. You know, an example is Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlav were two of the key free agents out there. Well, they got signed. You don't see teams aren't letting players become free agents anymore. Where we're signing all our players at younger ages. They're getting signed at 25, 26 to these 7- and 8-year contracts. There's no free agents. So to be successful, what do you have to do? You got to develop. Yeah, well, first of all, you got to draft them, and then you got to develop them, and that's the key, and that's where Texas is such a big part of this. The whole game plan moving forward here is we have to have success down at that level to be successful up top.
If you go back 15, maybe 20 years in the National Hockey League, you had a core group of players on a team, and they really didn't go very far. Free agency really changed, and everybody was moving almost at a yearly basis. Do you think the shift with players now being signed to these a little bit longer terms means that the fans will enjoy seeing familiar faces staying in the same organization for longer terms?
That's a great point. I think you're going to see stability in organizations now. When you make a decision on a guy, you pay somebody an 8-year deal at $7-8 million a year. You're talking $67 million. You're making a commitment to that player that he's staying there, and I think that's great for the fans to know that their foundation of their teams are all going to be staying put.
Interesting as you come into the Dallas organization. Texas, of course, in the Western Conference, so you saw plenty of them with them playing Grand Rapids, I believe, 4 times this year in a very fun series. From a goaltending perspective, Grand Rapids has a great young prospect in Petr Mrazek who really emerged first AHL game against the Texas Stars. Right. Yeah. What's your impressions of Christopher Nilstrup since you've had a chance to see him play here in the playoffs?
Well, I've been very impressed. We've been watching every game it's so tight. It's 2-1, 2-1, 3-2, 1-0. Every game it's tight, and those are great pressure situations for a goalie. And I think we need to remember with Nilstrup came over from Europe, and his first season in North America, that's a big step, and I think he's handled it great, and I think we're really seeing the growth in these playoffs. To judge him, really what happened in Dallas probably isn't fair to him. Now we're really seeing the real goalie. He's getting comfortable, he's getting used to the game down here, and I think we've seen great growth in his game. I
know the Texas Stars fan base was upset that they missed the playoffs in year 3. This is being the 4th year of the franchise. Willie Desjardins named the AHL Coach of the Year, and a big part, along with the players, as he is quick to point that out. Yeah. How important it is to have a successful AHL franchise for player development for your NHL club?
It's the only way you're going to win. You have to have success. And it's a fine line. You need to, you have young players down there. You want them to have success. And to have success, sometimes it's not easy. You need to have some older veterans, and so do the young players, how much do they play? So it's a real fine line, and it's a real juggling act for the coaches. And Willie's done a great job down here. I've known Willie ever since back in Messinat days, and he's a great up-and-coming coach. He's going to be in the NHL. Anytime you're a coach of the year in the American League, people don't understand how tough. The biggest step that any player makes from college, junior, or Europe is from coming from those leagues to the American League. It's a 100-foot step compared to the American League to the NHL, and it's a tough league. And to win down here, you're doing something right.
Given the fact, and this is the last one, I promise I won't bother you any longer than that head coach Desjardins had to go from a pre-lockout team to a post-lockout team to a post-NHL trade deadline team, essentially almost 3 different rosters. Is his AHL Coach of the Year that much more impressive?
I think it is, because it's a tough year. You start out the season, boy, you had some great young guys down here, and all of a sudden the NHL season starts, and you're not losing your worst players. They're taking your best guy. So it's see you later. And and to grab the mentality of the team again and say, hey, we can do it this way. Let's stick with our game plan. That's a real compliment to the coach.
I know this maybe puts you on the spot a little bit, but would you, if the Stars can get through the Oklahoma City Barons and the Grand Rapids Griffins could get by Toronto, would you like to see a Texas Grand Rapids Western Conference final?
I'd love to. It'd be great. They're both great, two really good teams. And what I like how they play. They both play good hockey, and it'd be great for the league, and it'd be extra special to kind of see those guys along the road too.
Jim, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time and appreciate you coming by for a couple of minutes here.
Great, anytime. Take care.
Dallas Stars General Manager Jim Nill joining us here in the Intermission Report. Back after this, it's 2-0 Oklahoma City on the Texas Stars Hockey Network.